I don't think anyone thought I was full hetero. I wore a lot of flannelette and corduroy pant. Like, it was, yeah.
Hello, I am Kay Anderson, and you are listening to Lost Spaces, the podcast that mourns the death of queer nightlife. Every episode, I talk to a different person about a venue from their past, the memories they created there, and the people that they used to know. So, this week is kind of a big deal. This is episode 100. Yes, 100 episodes of me asking inane questions of strangers. And to mark the occasion, we are visiting a city that has a very special place in my heart, and that city is Adelaide, the place where I grew up, first discovered my sexuality, first went out, first snogged boys, and then first went home feeling dejected and alone. But this isn't about me. This is about my guest, comedian Laurie Bell, who actually, truth be told, had a pretty similar experience to me, but with a perm. We talk all about first times, blowjobs on the dance floor, and I finally find out what the difference is between regular bingo and gay bingo. So let's go all the way back.
Okay.
What's it like growing up in Adelaide?
I think it's great. Obviously, I don't hate it because I'm still here. And I tour around for my job. So I could I'm transient. I could live anywhere and I choose to live in Adelaide. So I kind of dig it.
But back then,
yeah.
What was it like growing up and being like, oh, I might not be heterosexual?
Interesting. Yeah. So I grew up, I don't know if you remember this suburb. I grew up in a suburb called Semaphore. Do you remember Semaphore?
Yes. Yeah. So by the beach.
Yeah, so by the beach. But it was also, when I was young, it was like lesbian Mecca. It was just...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was like when I was like 16, 17, so just kind of figuring out that maybe not 100% straight. There was a bar in Semaphore called Dingo Ugly, which was a play on Coyote Ugly. And it was just owned by some old lesbians, and it was just like a women's only pub essentially, and it was just lesbians owned the town in Semaphore, and then bikers took it over, and then it got gentrified.
So they indoctrinated you.
Yeah, God, do you know what? I probably wouldn't even be gay.
100%.
100%. I mean, listen to my voice. I sound straight, right? Like.
So, wait, I did not know about Dingo Ugly. Did they also borrow, like, other bits of the concept? Like, did they dance on the bar?
They didn't dance on the bars, but they did, like, spray water into the crowd and shit. Like, it was, and there was just lots of pool tables because it was lesbians. We fucking love pool. Yeah.
So, wow.
So that was kind of where I was growing up, and I went to a school called Lefevre High School, and you know how like every high school's got their name, the Sienna Sluts or whatever. We were the Lefevre lesbians, and I was like, yes.
So other schools would call you that?
Yeah,
was it a mixed school or?
Yeah, it was a co-ed.
Oh, okay.
It was a co-ed. We were just the Lefevre lesbians,
So you were all the leses.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you had quite a lot of exposure.
Yeah, but even then I was still... Do you know what? For me, it felt like it was almost too much exposure that I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'd feel it. I don't know. I wasn't too sure. And then I went through a phase. Like, there were so many points that I look back and go, should have known. Like, when my boyfriend in high school, we were both captains of our rugby teams. Should have fucking known. Should have known.
No. You shouldn't have known from that.
I watched a lot of Xena and Gabrielle, and I loved their friendship.
Okay.
That was a sign.
All right, you should have known then.
Should have known then.
Okay, I'm with you
I was
on that
really
one.
into Hanson until I found out that the lead singer was a boy. Should have known. Should have known.
Well, how did you find out?
Oh, because I thought Taylor was just like, it was, it was like, oh, she's
Oh, it's a gender neutral
name.
Yeah.
And then all of my friends were like, the lead singer's so hot. And I was like, yeah, the lead singer is hot. And they were like, yeah, he's beautiful. And I was like, the vibe went away. I don't know what's going on there. Don't overthink it. Just keep playing rugby. You'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't figure stuff out. So I was planning to go to uni to study to be a PE teacher. So I was going to figure it out at some point.
Should have known.
Don't worry. Yeah. I have no doubt that I would have figured it out if I'd have done that. But instead, I studied arts at TAFE, and studied theatre. And Christ, I figured that out very quickly after that.
Oh, so on either path you would have
both
given many clues.
Led to me having a wife currently. Yeah.
So you were soaking in, oh no, I was going to say soaking in lesbian juices.
Heavy. That is some beautiful use of language. You're going to be slipping off my seat there, my friend. That is stunning.
Well, so what I'm trying to get at is that you had exposure. That's not the right word either. Lesbians were exposing themselves to you. You knew that it was a thing, and it kind of doesn't seem like it was treated like a massive end of the world big deal. But what was it like with your parents and your family coming out?
So my parents always knew I was different, and they always made it really clear from as soon as I sort of got to the age that dating was like a thing. I didn't date until I was much older, obviously, because I was gay and didn't know. But they always made it clear that they didn't care, and they were very careful with their language. They were like, we don't care what you do. We don't care what you do. We just want to know when you're in love, right? And that's all they'd say. We don't care. We don't care what you do. We don't care what you're doing when you're going out. Whatever. We just want to know when you're in love.
There were some caveats to that, surely.
No, that's it.
We don't care what you do.
Yeah, because honestly, I was a pretty good girl, to be honest. It's really easy not to sleep with men when you're secretly a lesbian. Yeah, so I told. The first time I told them that I was in love, it was a beautiful boy named Elliot, and I thought that was love. And then the second time I told them, it was my first partner, which was Chloe, and my I walked in. I was like, hey guys, you know how you've been always saying that I should tell you when I'm in love? Well, I'm in love. And my dad went, oh, is it the girl with the short hair? I said, yes, Dad, it is. And then he kind of he shot a look to my mum that was kind of like, oh, she's doing better than her brother. Do you know what I mean? And then my mum just kind of went, oh, okay. And then just went, well, at least you're not going to get pregnant, and laughed in my face. So that's how we did that.
My mum, I must have been 10 or something. I was the youngest in my family, but it was obvious in my situation as well. And so from when I was 10, my mum would go around and every now and then would be like, you know, kids, if you like dick, you like dick. And if you like fanny, you like fanny. So, you know, you're just going to figure it out. And I'd just be like, what? Huh?
She's a top bird.
Yeah, I think your parents probably were better at this subtlety of whoever you love. Yeah. My mum's a lot less subtle now. It's one of her favourite jokes is to sort of introduce me and then introduce wife and then if there's any weirdness, yeah, she just kind of makes really, really crass jokes from there. Like what?
She's if someone sort of goes, oh, is your daughter gay? She'll go, oh, do you know, I honestly don't know, but her wife definitely is. Do you know what I mean? That's her kind of.
Oh, that's not crass.
No.
I was hoping for something.
Well, a couple shandies, that woman gets loose, but yeah.
Oh, shandies. So no trauma then for me today.
No, sorry. Pretty like I went to an art school. I studied theatre. I've had this voice since I was 10. We were all kind of aware. I think, yeah, no, my mum, like mum came up to me like maybe like 2 weeks after I came out to her and just went, I understand. I just want you to know I'm worried. And I was waiting for, some traumatic moment. And she was like, I'm worried that other people won't treat you as well as you should be treated. And I was like, oh, okay. That's really nice, Ma. Yeah. And Dad's just always been my dad. Just thought I was the best. So yeah, not too much. I was pretty cool. And then I went to art school and it was just all queer and wonderful.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then when did you first start going out on the scene?
If anyone knows Adelaide, which I know you do, there was this.
Yeah. So when I say scene, I mean one of two bars. Yeah.
There was the one bar and then there was the one nightclub.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started going out on the scene, probably a little bit before I came out. So at about sort of 18, 19 years old. I didn't go out to nightclubs or bars until I was legal, 18.
Oh, so then the first place that you went to was the Eddie.
Yeah. Well, so I think the first thing I ever did was I went to a feast event, which is our queer festival here in Adelaide. And I went to a feast event, and I think maybe a pride march, and just went, fucking hey, these people are the best. But I don't know if I'm ready yet. And then kind of went along as a friend to a gay bar, as a not ready to be gay person.
As a friend.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like with my like really gay friend. I had a really, really gay friend, Chris, and he was fantastic. And he was like, "Yo, come to Mars. Come to Mars." And yeah, so we went to Mars Bar, which was our gay nightclub.
And so you went as Chris's friend.
Yeah.
Was it like you hadn't come out to Chris, or was it?
I think
just in your mind you were like, if anyone asks me, I'm full hetero.
No, I don't think anyone thought I was full hetero. I don't think anyone thought I was full hetero. I wore a lot of flannelette and corduroy pant. Like it was, yeah. But yeah, I went probably, I would have been 18. It must have been my first year of art school. Went to Mars Bar and yeah, very, very quick progression from there to be like, yeah, this is great. This is probably where my head's at.
Between some women's legs.
Absolutely face first, yes.
What was that like then, going down the stairs into Mars Bar for the first time?
Oh, God, it's so tacky. Like, do you remember it? Like, you would go down these, like, they were these steel stairs.
Of course.
And then there was this old angry bitch behind the door. Do you remember the door lady that you had to pay to get in? And she was just this...
Oh, no.
She was just this, like, old lady that just was never in a good mood. Never in a good mood. She might not have even been old. She might have just, like, had a really hard life and just been 30 years old. I didn't know, right? Like, I was always a little bit high and a little bit drunk when I went there. But, like, it was just, yeah, and it was, like, it was tacky and all the floors were sticky and oh, God. And then you had to go downstairs to go into the dance pit area. And then there was that little kind of, like, doof area off to the side. And then you'd have to go back up steps to go out to the, like, the smoking area, which was where all, like, the drag queens and lesbians were. It was a great time. But before that, so yeah. You remember? Like, is it all coming back to you now? And then, how's this? Did any other gay bar do this where when the drag show started, everyone would just go and sit on the floor? Do you remember that?
I remember. Okay, so the things I remember about Mars Bar are that, like, at those stairs that you would go down to come in,
yeah,
there was that mannequin that was hanging,
yes,
that was like covered in
yes,
mirrors.
it was like a disco ball, but a man's torso. It must have been the tits in the 80s, and we were just like, yeah, for life. You know that's in someone's garage right now and they're loving it sick.
Ah, memorabilia, yeah. And yeah, I do remember the drag shows with Rochelle and Fifi.
Yes!
And yes, whenever it was time for the drag show, everyone got kicked off the dance floor, and I would be so upset because I'd be like getting my life to whatever the song was that was playing before that.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely. And all the lesbians would just go outside.
But so I remember it being quite male heavy. When you went there the first time, were you like eyeing anyone up?
There were lesbians there. So when I was 18, 19 and sort of going there a lot, I really started going there a lot when I was like 20, 21. The L Word had just started. So the L Word had just started and every dyke was wearing like a white business shirt with like a thin black tie and a fucked up Shane haircut. Do you remember?
And a black waistcoat as well? Or was that
100%.
optional?
Yes, waistcoat. I mean, it's Adelaide, so it was always a bit warmer. But yeah, so there was just like, there were all these little Shane wannabes just kind of tearing around. So it was really easy to kind of pick them. I was so bad though. I never picked up at a nightclub on purpose. It always just kind of happened to me. I never actively sort of like was able to hit on someone.
And is that because you're not confident enough to hit on someone, or you just like you're so hot that everyone's hitting on you before you've even had a chance to get your bearings?
No, Christ, no. Looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, that person might have been hitting on me. But I just thought they were being really friendly and we were having lots of fun. No, I was a shocker. I had no self, because I had long red hair. I didn't have a Shane haircut. I didn't wear a tie. Yeah, I just didn't look or feel like...
But you had flannel on.
I did have flannel on, but that wasn't in at the time. That wasn't kind of what everyone was wearing. I was just kind of this... I felt daggy and I felt like because I wasn't comfortable having short hair that I wasn't gay enough, I think. You know what I mean? To sort of go out and be like that version of people that hit on people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would just kind of longingly look at someone from afar.
So I'm going to talk about both of our experiences and then equate that to absolutely every single queer person in the world's experiences right now. So apologies. But like when you first come out, you're like, I need to really embody this. Yes. I need to really figure this out. And you like beat yourself up because you're like, I'm not doing this gay enough. Damn it.
Yeah. I 100%. I was not gay enough. I didn't have it in me to sort of to hit on anyone or anything. Do you know the first person I properly hit on to the point that I got a positive result, got laid, is my current wife. So my only wife, the only wife I will ever Yeah.
Well, and you were just like, that was so traumatic. I'm not going through it again. Can we get married?
Oh, it was so good. I was coming off a really high buzz of like, I'd done a really good run of gigs. My name was really getting out there. I was really confident in my lesbianism and myself as a person. And I had this really good gig and there was this hot bird there and I made a move and it worked. And she was going to be my first proper one night stand. I didn't know until later, but she was planning the same thing. I was going to be her one night stand. And and now we've been married for quite a long time and together for 12 years. So lesbians, am I right?
Yuck, that's disgusting. Oh, yeah. Can we just talk about performing then for a while? Do you get that then when you've just performed and you've had a set and you're like, I am the funniest person in the world? Do you go to that like, I can just flirt with anyone, everyone in this room loves me? Or do you get like, oh God, they're going to figure out that I'm really not this super confident person if they talk to me, I'm just going to hide?
It's 100% the second one. So I on stage normally when I'm in a comedy room, I'm the host, I'm the MC. So I'm working with the crowd. I'm not sort of doing stand-up, and I'm very flirty on stage with men and women, and very open about being queer. And so after the show, quite often get like straight women and stuff come up, and I go to water. I'm rubbish. Just like, blah, 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 and my wife just throws me deeper if she sees that it's happening. She's just like, she was lying about having a wife. Have a crack. And fuck off. Yeah.
But are there straight women coming up to you because they're like, oh, I'm going to go on this lesbian holiday?
I don't know. So I got through my 20s at art school. So my early 20s, late teens. I went being at art school and sort of the few years after that, I slept with a lot of straight women because it was I was a safe version, again, because I didn't look insanely gay. Right. Do you know what I mean? So it was just but
sort of like their gateway.
Yeah, they'd sort of dip their toe in and be like, not for me. Which just meant that I kept getting my heart broken over and over again by these straight women, but really just wanted to be with like an actual queer woman that didn't know how to access
for them and you're just terrible at sex?
What if I am like the lesbians in Adelaide could be up to 25% now, but I have just banged the gay out of them. They were just like, nah, we can't. We're about penis now. That was horrific. Yeah, I've had that thought. Thank you for bringing that up. I will cry in the shower later.
Oh, good. Can you take a selfie whilst you do it so I can make sure it did happen?
Yeah, great. Oh, man. I was a very, very different person back then. I was so skittish, I think.
Skittish? Do you mean like too nervous to...
Yeah, I was like you. Like, I wouldn't know. I couldn't look people in the eye properly. I couldn't if someone was having a really engaging conversation and wanting to flirt, I was really unsure of how to go about it. Just skittish.
Yeah, I think like the whole thing about flirting, I just wish that culturally we were more like those, I can't think of what culture is, but some cultures are just like, hey, by the way, I fancy you. Do you want to go to bed? Like, yeah. I just wish that was our approach. Because all the like, I'm supposed to decode what they're saying and figure it out.
Oh, my God.
And then the other thing that I'm bad at with flirting is I tease people a lot. So people, like, I will be a bit mean to them, but like in a fun, in a fun, hilarious way, obviously. But then like some people are just like, oh, he's a dick. And then just like give up.
Oh, man. One of my best friends for ages, she, like, you could tell the second she was interested into someone because she would turn into a dick. And, like, her version of flirting was just being like, you just do a bit of funny banter and you'd be like, oh, you are. She'd be like, oh, your face is fucked. Do you know what I mean? Like, hey, whoa, you crossed the line. Like, they're not going to respond. And then the couple times that they did respond, we're like, what is her damage? Like, why? Someone needs to hug her. That's how she's responded to that.
So if we could just cycle back. So we talked before about other people flirting with you and you kind of figuring out how to flirt and then like acing it on the first try. Like how did others flirt with you?
I didn't pick up on it. I think quite often the few times that I would normally figure out that I'd been flirted with when I was pashing them or having sex with them. Like I'd be like, oh, I guess that's where that was leading. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, because
that's when the light bulb went off.
Yeah. It was so many things went off. Because it was for me, it's just all jokes and hanging out with people, which was lots of fun. And then figuring out that it was flirting and I was being flirted with way too late in the process. So my self-esteem, me as a person was quite high, but my self-esteem, me as a sexual person and like someone that people would want to be with was quite low, if that makes sense.
And why do you think that is?
I don't know. Late to the game. I'm not gonna lie. I ginger that had braces and glasses, and there was a good solid point in high school where I had a perm for way too long. So might have been off to a bad start, my friend.
But a perm.
I know. It was such a weird time in my life. I was in year 10, so I was 15. I wanted to give my hair, it's quite thin ginger hair, and it's normally meant to be sort of big and bold, isn't it, ginger hair? And I wanted to sort of give it a bit more body, and I went to this crap hairdresser who was like, "Oh, just layer it," and it didn't work, and I looked like an odd pirate. And I was like, "Well, how do I give it body from here?" And then my like stoner friend was like, "Fucking perm it," and I was like, "Yeah." So I permed it, and then I just looked like this fucked up Ronald McDonald with braces and glasses, just going, well, this is my lot in life. This is what I live with now. So, nah.
Imagine how different your life could have turned out if you just leaned into the pirate look.
It could have worked. You know what I mean? I've let myself down. There's so many points where I've gone, let myself down. Could have leaned in. Wouldn't have had a perm. Wouldn't have had a perm. Would have had a fucked ponytail, but wouldn't have had a perm.
Those women at Dingo Ugly would have just been like, Laurie, come here.
Frothing.
Laurie, come in.
Frothing. It is a seaside suburb.
So we haven't even gone to the Edinburgh Castle Hotel. So let's go there now. Why was it that you wanted to talk about that place rather than Mars Bar?
God. So it was a pub, and I'm more of a pub person than a nightclub person. While I did go to, like, you'd always finish at Mars, but you'd always start at the Ed. Am I correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So it was about a 500-meter walk between the two, and the Edinburgh Castle had to close at 10 p.m. And when it closed at 10 p.m., everyone would just loosely walk over straight into Mars Bar and get ready for the first drag show. Sit on the floor. Go down the stairs, embrace the bedazzled body torso thing, deal with the surly door lady, get their vodka cruiser and go sit down. But the Ed Castle, it just had so much character, and it was the first gay bar in Adelaide. It was the first hotel ever in Adelaide. It was the very first hotel, and then it became a gay hotel, and it was the longest running. It was magnificent. Like, on top of it, it was just kooky as fuck. So, like, their biggest night for lesbians, their one big night was Wednesday night Whoppers. And I don't know if you were up for Do you remember Wednesday night Whoppers?
I don't. So, what Whoppers? Like
Wednesday night Whoppers was when they got male strippers in.
Oh, okay. So that's not the lesbian night then.
It shouldn't be, but it weirdly became the biggest lesbian night. Like, you would always go to Wednesday night Whoppers and we would all just sit at the back. I think because we knew all the gay men would just be like in the bar and we could all hang out in the beer garden. I don't know. But then we'd all secretly get a bit curious and we'd go in there and we'd sort of watch, and it would be hilarious because if there was a straight stripper, he would feel so confronted by just a room full of gay men just like hollering that he would always grab a lesbian to do the dance on, and just assuming that he would get a good response, and it would just watch this lesbian just be like, ah! Like just screaming and losing her mind, just like, get your dick away from my face. I do not consent. Yeah, it was, and so that was one of the joys in Wednesdays.
And the thing, like, so stripping as an art form, it's just women are better at it. Like, I know that's a blanket statement, but like male strippers are just like.
So women, I think
me.
women play a lot more with sensuality, and so they're a lot more sort of sensual when they're doing it. Men just kind of find stuff to dry fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like,
which normally I'm not against.
Just, I'll stick my cock in your face and just, yeah. Whereas women will sort of be like, I'm going to do a bit of a tease. Fellas are like, I'm going to get your face and just thrust my cock into it. Like, yeah. Which when you do it to a lesbian is hilarious.
Like, the other thing is that when you're a male that has to have an erection to show that you're turned on, like, that's a lot of pressure. And so, like, putting on a cock ring in order to stay hard and then just having this angry, veiny purple thing that's cut off from your blood supply, like,
they didn't have hard penises.
They
had to have soft, I think think they had to have soft.
What? Well,
Yeah, because you're not allowed to.
then what's the point?
Well, because I know this for fact.
What's the point? See what I did there?
I toured with Puppetry the Penis, which is an Australian show, toured the world. I toured with Puppetry the Penis as their opening act for a while, and you are not allowed to have, in Australia, I guess, you are not allowed to have an erect penis in front of people as a part of a show. It's illegal.
What if you're semi-erect?
I don't know, and I don't know at what point it becomes not okay. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
This is something we could test.
Yeah. I do remember there was one night doing Puppetry the Penis where the air conditioning was really on really high. And the stage manager...
And they had no puppet.
The stage manager was like, we're not going to have a fucking show unless you turn the air conditioning off. I'm like, all right, calm down. Yeah. I know a lot about flaccid penis now. It's great.
But so this whole male stripper thing, it's just given this new dimension to it. So were they like flapping a flaccid penis in like just in
lesbians' faces? Yeah. And it was every version of bad stripper that you could imagine, because like they weren't buying the most expensive strippers, right? They weren't buying. They were getting some pretty.
I mean, Adelaide is famous for breeding world-class strippers, isn't it?
So like there was a guy that did a gladiator routine. There was like the post office guy that would like spin a box. Like there was all of the classic sort of like every cliched stripper thing we were able to bear witness to as lesbians. And then I think one night they did try to have a female on, and we were like, no, we're not okay with that.
But like for feminist reasons, or like
I think
because
so.
that particular female was horrible.
Oh no! I mean, she was clearly straight, so we're a bit less interested. But also, yeah, it was just like I think we were sort of more like, no. This isn't about that. Like, it's about one of us being picked up by a weird gladiator, having their cock in their face, and feeling, oh, this is the joy we get out of it, not staring at naked women. Good
yeah, and like how else are we going to get a good seat in the beer garden?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But I love like the Ed was so good because like we have the big like picnic in the park. Surely you did picnic in the park. Gay Christmas
by the Torrens.
Yeah, and so we'd do picnic in the park, and that would finish sort of at about 5. But Mars Bar wouldn't open until 8 at the earliest. So everyone, that was the biggest day of the year for the Edinburgh Castle. Was if you got in there. So if you got in at the Ed, you were like, fuck yes, this is the best. And I remember I got in there one year, and this was sitting down, managed to get a table, was sitting down with some friends, and then this bird walked up, and she just had like sticks and shit in her graze all the way down her arm, and she was all messed up, and we're like, dude, what happened? And she was like, oh man, we were having some pre-drinks at my friend's house, and we were just driving to get here to the Ed, and I saw a breatho, which is like a police officer pulling you over to test you, how much you've had to drink. Mm-hmm. She's seen the breatho, she's panicked, and she has dove out of the car. Just actively dove out of the car. And we're like, oh shit, what did the driver do? She's like, I was the driver. I'm like, did you have people in the car? And she's like, yeah. So she's just run into the bushes. She's jumped out of the car, like grazed her face, like run into the bushes, and then just legged it to the Ed. Meanwhile, her mates are in the car, apparently, as it's just gently rolled into a breathalyzer station. Like, I promise none of us were driving. Do you know what I mean? Like, the Edinburgh Castle. So good.
Do you know the resolution? Do you know what happened?
No, we just went, you need to go find your friends and you need to get yourself looked at. And you need to not drive. Stop it. We just kind of sent her on her way. We had stuff to do. Oh, man. The Ed Castle was where I learned a very important lesson. And it was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was super into Scotch and Coke because I was a lesbian. And I was super into Scotch and Coke, but I didn't realise that Coke had caffeine in it. And so I would just was just having lots of Scotch and Coke and couldn't understand why I wouldn't go to sleep. The lessons you learn.
Oh, I thought there was going to be more to that story. Is that it?
No, just me sort of waking up at like 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just going, no, that's it. I'm awake now. Do you know what I did just remember? I did just remember they used to have, so there was the pool table at the Ed Castle, and there was the chalkboard, and this you wouldn't have done this because this was lesbian domain, was the pool table. And it was fucking competitive. Like, it was hardcore competitive. And like,
tell me about
you
it. Tell
you would
me.
put your $2 down, and if you won, you played on, and you would play on until you lost, and then you would like, that was it. And if you got like three people would rock up with their very own like pool cues and stuff. They weren't dicking around.
Oh my God, I love those, like the cases that they come in. Like it just looks, you just look like such a bad
and
bitch.
Beating those women was such a joy in my life. Yeah. It's very competitive.
So was there a status assigned to the person that was best at pool?
Look, as the game was going, yeah, you were like, fuck, that person's doing really well. But like every time I was on a really good run, I would sort of get bored because I couldn't go to the bar. So eventually we just end up losing to I could go get myself another Scotch and Coke and fuck my night up.
So then you're not as competitive as me, clearly, because I would have just been like,
No.
hold in your urine. You don't need a drink. Just keep going.
Oh,
and
really?
win."
Are you that competitive? Yeah, no, I'd get a few games
but
under
I
my
suck
belt.
at pool, so.
But you win at sucking, so that's great.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I get a spirit badge. The other thing about that is having to play against people you don't know.
Yeah.
I just find that really annoying.
Although it's Adelaide, so you kind of know them. Oh, yeah.
But when you're like with your friend and you're like, hey, should we play pool? And then all you want to do is play against your friend.
No.
But suddenly you're like swept up into this kind of like, oh, okay, I'll play you. And then and then you're just playing all these randoms.
That was never an option. It was never an option. You couldn't play with your friends. There was this one, there was this girl I had the biggest crush on, and I beat her at pool, and then she became my friend on not on Facebook, on MySpace. She became my friend on MySpace, and it just meant the world.
Is there a point to this story?
No, it was just such a good memory of winning a game of pool and making a MySpace friend of a woman that I had a crush on. Felt great.
Is this going back to what we were talking about before in terms of flirting? Was your flirting tactic like cream her at pool and then she'll love me?
Yeah, cream her at pool and then she'll cream, I guess. I don't know. It was rubbish. I'm so lucky I have my wife.
It means you don't get to practice. So because the venue switched from being a queer venue to a straight venue, which I assume was because it was like there was a change in landlord.
Yes. Oh, no, it wasn't a change in landlord. It was the owners, like the people that actually ran the bar. I think, and I don't know, but
we're just so sick of male strippers.
No, I think they got, like I said, I think they developed some addiction stuff, is what I've heard. I don't know what the true story is, but it happened really suddenly. Like they just didn't have money and they were like, no, that's it, we're closed and it's not a gay bar anymore. And we're like, what?
Oh.
Yeah, and it just kind of, it really smashed the scene because it was Adelaide and we had, what other states and stuff were starting to, we were just sort of allowed to just be out at normal bars, which was great to feel comfortable being out at a normal bar. But there's something really magical about being able to have a gay bar, like your own space that feels safe and so sort of losing that so suddenly and without sort of knowing, so no one could do anything to protect it or save it. It was just done. You know what I mean? Like it was just, and that was it. And then these straight people got it, and it was like, damn, that. Yeah, we just we lost this big, important thing in our history so suddenly and for such a...
What was the community response?
Sadness, lots of sadness. Especially and it wasn't even, because it wasn't it wasn't 100% always just a scene place. It was just also just a gay bar, just a place that, older queer people could just feel really comfortable and grab a beer and get a meal and And it wasn't about getting laid in the toilets or whatever. It was.
That was just a bonus.
Yeah, yeah. It was just, cheeky wristy, whatever. It was just a centralized. It was a home. It was a home, and we sort of lost our home for a shitty reason.
And so what happened then when it got taken over by the straights?
By the straights.
You said something before about, like, it's not, you didn't call it a straight bar, you called it an everyone bar. I liked that.
Yeah. It's kind of how it ended up. Like, I think they wanted, it became just like a gig bar because we had a really good performance space, obviously, because gay bar. And it had a really nice stage and stuff. And
all those floppy dicks.
Oh. Yeah. So I think they essentially made it like, so like Sundays were definitely gay day. So Sundays you had gay bingo, so that's what I was hosting. Then you had the drag show afterwards, which was like, it was run by Vonnie. Remember Vonnie?
Oh, Vonnie.
Yeah, so Vonnie would run the drag. She's still doing gigs, man. She's still kicking around.
Oh, wow.
She's an absolute queen. So yeah, it was still sort of like you still couldn't get us out. You couldn't get rid of us.
But what was different?
There was straight people there. There was straight people behind the bar, and they were all wonderful and they were lovely, but it just wasn't the same. It's just not the same as having a space where you've got your gay guy, you've got your surly lesbian behind the bar that makes great cocktails. You know what I mean? Like you've got all these things that just kind of that make it a queer
What
space.
is it with you and women who work in queer venues being grumpy or surly?
I worked in hospitality for a long time and I was never surlier. I think it's probably more to do with my style of hospitality than
it's like a solidarity
than the
thing.
poor. But there's probably quite chipper women there. I was just always in a shit mood when I was working hospitality. But that is because I got an arts degree. So
okay. Like you're above it. Is that what you mean?
No, I got an arts degree, so I had to work hospitality because that's just what we do.
Oh, I see. I thought that's why you were surly. And so, can you answer me this question? Mm-hmm. What's the difference between regular bingo and gay bingo?
Okay. So I know this because during COVID, I had to diversify and I picked up a job calling bingo at the actual casino for nanas. So
it sounded like you were saying that the casino was called Fananas.
No, sorry. So for nanas, for grandmas. So I was calling bingo for them. They're super competitive. They spend a lot of money and the prize is money. So it's gambling. Gay bingo, the way that we do it in Adelaide, is you essentially just get a couple of tickets to start off with. All of the bingo calls are quite filthy and the prizes are things like a vibrator or a bag of spinach or
a bag of spinach.
It just depends. It depends on what our Queen of Prizes brings in, essentially. So, yeah, but always the final prize is a choice between like tickets to go see a show or a huge, exciting vibrator.
So stakes are lower and
laughs are higher.
People are more inebriated. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I love going to like proper bingo.
Do you?
And just watching people. I just the people watching of it. Like, you know how some people have those, like, they've just done away with cards and they just have this thing that's like a giant calculator.
Yeah. The pit machines.
That is just incredible.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
And they're playing I literally was calling bingo today at the casino and there's people that are playing like 7 games at the exact same time and they're just like,
yes.
And I'm calling really fast. Yeah, but I can't, I've only been doing it for a few months and I had complaints from a few of the grandmas. They were a bit...
You were going too slow?
No, not too slow. I got one complaint was that my voice was too high-pitched. Because I'm not a dude, essentially. I couldn't drop my balls. So I was like, fuck. I have never had that as something said to me before. I took it as a compliment. I was like, fuck yes, high-pitched voice.
I'm finally high femme.
Yeah, yay! I'm going to wear lipstick next time. And then the other one was that I was too entertaining. This grandma came up and she's like, it's just bingo. You're being too entertaining. Stop it. And I was like, okay, Christ. I was just trying to have some fun. It's tough for me. But I figured she's got a weak pelvic floor. If I make her laugh, like that's chewing into a bingo time.
Well, so she was like, you shouldn't be talking between the numbers, or?
No, I was being too entertaining. No, and do you know what it was? Is that I took some stuff from Gay Bingo. I didn't do any of the bingo calls, obviously, because, there's...
You just gave out vibrators, yeah.
I was just getting them to say, like, game on before we started bingo, which, like, was jaunty and fun, but it was also a way for me to know that they were all listening and focused and ready to start again.
Yeah.
Without being like, is everyone ready? I would just go, all right, team, if you're ready to play, game on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And she's like, we don't need to count. We just need to play bingo. It's still numbers, but that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. And there's some numbers because I still host Gay Bingo. I love it. And it's in Adelaide, it funds the Queer Youth Drop-In Centre. Yeah. So it gives young queer people a safe space. All the old queers just play bingo and win vibrators. And so, like, there's some things, like, whenever it's, so, like, you go 2 little ducks, 22, right? That's what you say, right? In normal bingo, 2 little ducks, 22. And then in Gay Bingo, we say 2 little dykes, 22, scissor sisters, right? Like, that's... It is so hard not to fuck that up and accidentally say dykes. And then the other one that I always really struggle with, because it just kind of rolls off the tongue, is 5 and 6, 56. Everybody, shake your tits. Like, you can't. I don't think the nanas, God, they give themselves black eyes if they went for it.
Yeah, hit their neighbour.
Yeah.
So a really important question I have about the Ed Castle is, did you ever get off with anyone there?
At the Ed? Pretty heavy makeout session. Didn't have sex. Had sex at Mars, though. A couple of times.
What? Where?
In the toilets. Don't tell me you didn't.
No, I didn't. I don't think I've ever had sex.
I had to get the security guard had to come in and be like, girls, come on. Like, it's closing time.
What?
I'm like, oh shit, sorry.
Is it just like, how do you even get to that point? Is it just that there's really heavy petting and everyone's kind of disgusted around you, like in the bar, so you have to find somewhere discreet?
No. Just, you girls, you go to the toilet together and you're like, it's a huge lineup. We'll just go in and pee together. Oh, we've just peed together. Maybe we'll just cheeky kiss while we're in here. And then cheeky kiss just gets a bit carried away. Surely I'm not the only one. Well, I definitely know there was one other person because it wasn't just me.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like the smell of urine and impatient people in a queue behind me.
And just drag queens coming in and just yelling shit out. Yeah. If it's your time, it's your time,
Yeah, see, this is one of the areas where I didn't really fully embrace things. Like, it definitely made out lots on the dance floor, but I never had sex in a club.
Yeah, well, gay friend Chris that I was talking about earlier, gay friend Chris, he gave head on a dance floor at Mars. How do you do that?
Wow.
He did it.
Wow.
For Queens. It was a very sticky floor after that.
Was he really short?
No, he wasn't short, and I don't think the person was that tall. I think they were just really focused on getting the tasks done, and no one really cared.
Wow.
I remember there was one night at Mars, like all the queens would come into the ladies' toilet, and I was like, "Fuck you! We've got like such long lines. Do not come on."
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
but safe spaces. I'm not going to judge. Like I've learned, but so I was like, well. Fuck this, I'm going into the dude's toilet. And I have never, ever regretted a decision more.
How come?
Because they were fine with me being in there, but I was not fine. Well, because I just saw things I didn't want to see. The way the boys' toilets worked were very different to the way the girls' toilets worked. We were just peeing in there for the most part.
What? Oh, because they were having sex?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I really
Just
missed
also.
out.
You did. What were you doing?
So, in closing, is there any words of wisdom that you would give to Laurie with a perm?
Yes. Yes. It would be get rid of the perm as soon as you can. You are not as unattractive as everyone as you think you are, and just oof, get your head out your ass. I reckon would be the other one. Yeah.
I didn't get a sense that your head was in your ass.
I just overthought everything. I think I overthought
Okay.
everything. And I think that gave me a lot of extra anxiety that I didn't need to have. And I think now that I care less and have relaxed more, my life is much more fuller and enjoyable.
Oh, well, that's good advice. I hope that she listens.
Yeah, me too, especially about the perm. It was so fucked. It was so
And the thing
bad.
that gets me is that it wasn't the 80s.
No, it wasn't. It was the very, very late 90s. It was the very late 90s. Perms were not in. They were not a thing. Especially not with weird layering as well on top of it. Like imagine like fucked Ronald McDonald, like, but a young lesbian that doesn't know she's gay yet. That's where we're at with braces and glasses.
Do you have any memories of Adelaide's queer scene, be that Mars Bar or Edinburgh Castle or somewhere that we didn't discuss today? Or do you have memories from your own queer scene that you want to share? Well, if you do, please get in touch. I want to create the biggest online record of people's memories and stories. Go to lostspacespodcast.com and find the section Share a Lost Space and tell me all about what you got up to. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My handle is Lost Spaces Pod. And whilst you're at it, find out more about Laurie at her website, lauriebellcomedy.com, and follow her on Facebook. Her profile is Laurie Bell Comedy. Simple, right? Lost Spaces is not only a podcast, but a concept record as well. I have been writing songs about queer venues and the people who used to live their lives there, and will be releasing songs over the coming year. You can hear the first single, Well Groomed Boys, which is also playing underneath my talking right now on all streaming platforms. If you liked this episode, I would really appreciate if you subscribed, left a review on your podcast platform of choice, or just told people who you think might be interested in giving it a little listen too. I am Kay Anderson, and you've been listening to Lost Spaces.